got on here real quick because I have not stopped and taken time to post anything lately because I've just been living life and spending time with my family. Had a family reunion recently, and it's just amazing. Life is good. Life is good. Enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the rain, enjoying all seasons, enjoying everything. Um, but literally getting ready to go to the gym and stopped because I could feel like this energy that's on me that is not my own, of someone waiting for a sign or waiting for permission or waiting for basically someone else to consent to their own happiness, their own gifts that the universe and God has already gifted them, has already given them. And because the energy has been sitting with me for some time, like I'm not feeling bogged down or hey sweetie, like I'm not feeling it directly, but I still know that it exists. It is still there. Um, and I believe it's there because I dealt with that like younger days, 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, in my childhood, where there was a lot of people, hey sweetie, there was a lot of people who legit like siphoned my energy, my own happiness, took whatever they could to basically like trying to put it on for themselves. And there's a lot of people that benefited from me not being my full for myself, but definitely being my full, my best, my everything for everybody else. And being the little Virgo child that I was unfortunately given a lot of people's problems to transmute, to help them heal, to change, to just be that, as a child, be that mothering. I remember my mom used to tell me all her problems. And I was a kid, but here I was sitting there dissecting, and giving it back to her. And it was just like, I'm laughing because I just had a thought. This older woman I met in passing um, saw that I had gray hair, and I was like, yeah, I've had gray hair since I was like, I think I got my first one at 15, and it's actually still there. It's came out 1,000 times over and grew back. I got my first hair at 15, and I shared that with her, and she immediately turned around in all seriousness and was like, that's wisdom. And I was like, I know. And she was like, no, that's wisdom. She was like, she inquired about my childhood, and because it was a conversation with no like you've had gray since 16, that's good. But yeah, since there was no weird energy, I engaged in that conversation. And she was like, yeah, you've been here before. And I'm like, I'm sure I have. Like, I'm pretty positive, by way of life and how it happened for me. But saying all of that to say, like, as a child, I wasn't allowed to be a child in the sense of just enjoying childhood things. I was always given information. I stayed up under my elders. I would go on vacations with my grandmother, her sister, her brother, all the way to Georgia. Just me and them. And when it wasn't that, almost every year, I was sitting in the house with my grandmother. I would be parting her hair, oiling her scalp, having conversations with her, engaging in that spiritual dynamic, receiving information. And then here I was, whenever I was with my mom, the tables turned. It was just like I was mothering my mother's inner child, even though I was the child. And it wasn't just my mom. It was stuff that it was everybody, literally everybody. But saying all of that to say, by the time I was 18, 19 years old, it was just like I knew that this life was waiting for me to place both my feet in and go for me, not for everyone else, but legit for me. And I wanted to take everybody that I love with me. And God was like, nah, that's not how it works. And I'm like, no, because I love them and I've been carrying them spiritually or carrying them emotionally for this long. They have to come with me. I have to take them with me. And it's like, no, that's not your assignment. That's not your responsibility. Yes, that's what you endured as a child. Yes, that's what you endured in your, early adulthood. But sweetie, that's not your assignment. And God literally had to give me my own children, my own offspring, before I was strong enough to start cutting people off, because it was like, how are you going to ask me for money? And I have responsibilities, and you're older than me with your own responsibilities, but you still expect for me to feed you. You still expect for me to pour my energy into you. You still expect for me to, hey, sweetie, you still expect for me to pour myself into you and to everyone else, and continue to keep setting myself on fire to keep you warm. And it was like, I remember I was married in the past. My dad actually told me, not to help me, but this man actually told me to, like, even though I was married, to come and stay with him with my daughter at the time, and then the dad can come and visit the kid. And at that moment, there was no drama, no issues between me and the dad. So it was like, how am I supposed to come live with you and he visit his kid? Like, the math ain't mathing. But it was that strong hold of not wanting to let me go. And it could have something to do with the fact that I am his only biological child. I don't know. But that's what he said. He was like, come home. And I'm like, nah, I can't do that. I can come visit you, but I can't do that. That whole situation fell apart. Not my dad, but the whole marriage. It ran its course. I learned all that I could from it. I took whatever I could from it, learned, healed, moved on, right? This man, meaning my father, does not approve of anyone for me. When I say anyone, hey, if I say anyone, I mean any and everyone. If you seem like a good dude, an amazing man, he hates you. He hates your soul. Why? Because chances are, daughter is not coming back home. Sir, I've been single for all of these years and still didn't go back home. Like, stop. If the guy is bad for me, then my dad approves. Why? Because I'm not going to stay in a bad situation. I'm going to leave. That makes me single. And then, hey, hopefully she'll come back home. Like, if that ain't the most toxic situation, I don't know what is. But that's my dad. Nobody good for me is allowed around me. And so in order for me to be with somebody in a serious manner, in a serious way, I'd have to legit stand up to my dad, which is super cool. Done it before, once before. I don't bring nobody home unless I'm absolutely sure, because I'm about to make a whole Leo sit down. A whole Leo sit down. And he don't sit down easily. This man get jealous. Even if when I go out to dinner with my uncle, his brothers, this man has 4 brothers. If I go out to dinner with any one of them, he's harassing them, yelling at them, cussing them out. Don't you got your own kids? Like, dad is lit. In the worst way, he is very, very jealous, very, very domineering, and he only wants me for himself. Toxic. And so I remember I was out to dinner with my uncle, and the whole time he's on his phone, and I'm looking at him because I already know what it is, and I don't care to engage. He's just showing me, it's your dad. And I'm like, why does he even know we're out to dinner, sir? Why did you even tell him? You know he was going to get pissed off. But that is how my dad is. With anything and everybody when it comes to me. If it's a good man, an amazing man, he hates his soul. If it's a horrible man, he loves him, because my daughter ain't finna stay with you. So the goal is to keep me single and to keep me from, leaving. I ain't been home in forever. I haven't lived home since I was 16 years old, but that's not going to stop him from hoping and praying and wishing and trying. I have since then taken charge of my life, and I remember I was, I think, 20 or 21. And I hate to say this now because we in such a good space with my sister. She would have these condescending remarks, or we all can't look like that, or we all can't do this, or we all can't carry ourselves that way, and be like taking shots. And mind you, if you know me, I don't bother nobody. And at that moment, I just got tired. And I don't remember what I said to her, but I said something to make her stop. And then my dad comes, like, mind you, my sister's 5 years older than me. So she been grown for some years, got kids, got the whole shebang. I only had one at the time. And he comes and he tries to make me feel bad for standing up for myself. Make me feel bad for respectfully placing her in her place. So she stopped antagonizing me. And that is that's just an example of the environment that I grew up in. Me standing up for anybody and everybody was always the yay, sacrifice yourself for them. But me saying something and standing on, 10 toes for myself was offensive to everybody else. Because when I stood for me, mountains moved. And a lot of the toxic people that I was fortunately, because I learned a lot, so that I fortunately grew up around, had to go. They had to go. And anybody that wanted to control my life had to go. Anybody that benefited from that would, oh shoot, hold on. Anybody that would benefit from me playing small had to go. Anybody that would benefit from, like, I can't be good to me and them at the same time had to go. Now, if you know me personally, I'm a nurturer. I give, I pour, I love. And so that was the benefit of me. I met this woman the other day, Miss Phyllis. I ended up taking a picture with her, just for fun, or so I thought. She was Jamaican, married to an African, and she kept telling me that they have a traditional African household. Now, she's engaged in a conversation with me, and me being me, she's an older woman. I love my elders, baby. I'll sit and talk with you for as long as you need, as long as I don't have anywhere to go. And at this moment, I don't have anywhere to go, so I'm just, I just met her. I spent the whole day over the past weekend with my aunt, like the whole day, and it was beautiful. So to meet Miss Phyllis, I'm in the mindset that I was with my aunt. I didn't think nothing of it. It was just me engaging with an elder. And so she starts asking me about my family history, my life, and I'm giving it to her because my walls are not up. I don't feel like I need to protect myself. This is not an odd situation. She asked what picture. I have the picture. I might post it, but blur her face respectfully for her and her family. But she asked me if I have children. She asked if she see a picture. I showed, which I never do. I showed the picture, and she told me, they pair their children off. I met her oldest son, his wife, and his two sons. Mind you, I'm completely innocent in all of this now. I'm meeting the family. I'm at her house. And to me, I'm just engaging with an elder. I love to do that. Elders and babies, like all day. So I'm at her house and I'm meeting him. And then we continue the conversation. Now, for me, it's just a regular conversation. But then I learned in the end, Miss Phyllis was trying to pair me with her son. She said he's 33 years old. He's in the army and he'll be back in 2 weeks. And she was like, I need you to come back here. And excuse me? Wait a minute. Back it up, Miss Phyllis. Back it up. And when I showed her a picture of my offspring, she was like, do you want more? And I'm like, most definitely. Like, I'm not going to lie. I want, I need like 4 more. I need like 4 more. And so she's all happy. And this is before she tells me about her son. She's all happy. And then I showed her my offspring. She was like, you guys are Native American. And I looked like, yeah. like, why did you ask me that? And she was just like, they're beautiful. And I'm like, thank you. And she's like, you are so very beautiful. And I was like, thank you. And then I got teary-eyed because she kept stating, like, that she felt like so much peace with me. And the reason that made me teary-eyed is because that's everybody. That is everybody. That is legit everybody. Everybody has the same goddamn reaction with me. And I get that. But she kept stating that. And then she kept calling me her daughter. And the way that this whole conversation even started was because we were talking about her friend that she had just lost due to cancer. And I began talking to her about shrinking tumors. This is how it started for me. So when I tell you I was open like a 7-Eleven, just pouring and giving, that was the situation for me. But Miss Phyllis was looking to pair me with her son. And she was just like, you are my daughter. I know you are my daughter. And I told somebody about this yesterday. And they said, well, how do you know that that's not really your future mother-in-law? And I said, because I've had that situation with a lot of mothers and a lot of fathers. I said, there's one person I dated in the past. His mom still says that I owe her a set of twins. Now, I love her. I love her so much. But I remember when I decided to date after her son, like his mom would like text me, "You're supposed to be with my son." She would this. I had to change my phone number. She texts me so much. She texts me so much, and I love her dearly. But I had to change my phone number because she was genuinely upset and was like, "You're supposed to be with my son, and you owe us a set of twins." And I ain't never promised these people nothing. In fact, when I did date her son, that was the agreement. We would never have children together, he and I. And he agreed to that because I don't see him as father material. Longer story short, she's still to this day upset. This man is in a whole other relationship with somebody else and she's still upset. And I remember I posted my daughter on Facebook and she was like, "It's good to finally see her." And I'm like, when you break up with somebody, you kind of break up with the family too. I'm not finna be coming over there like, "Hey, no, like, I love you. Still, always will, but you can't be doing this. Like, you legit can't be doing this." So the person asked me, like, "How do you know that this woman, Miss Phyllis, is not really your mother-in-law? She feels so passionately about it." And I said, "Because this is the normal reaction when I meet a mother first, or when I meet a father first." I remember when I was 20 years old, I dated a guy that grew to hate me because I wouldn't marry him. And his reason for wanting to marry me at that time was because his mom apparently hated everybody. Everybody. And I met his mom when I was at work. I did not know his mom was his mom. It was just me engaging with an elder. And she was Jamaican. She told me about all the stuff she was purchasing. She, sent it back to her family in Jamaica. And then, of course, I met her son there at the same time. Not at the same time, but at the same place. And he asked me out. And he seemed like the type of person that don't really talk to people. And when we started dating, like, this man would cook all of my favorite things. I'll be going for a run in my neighborhood and he'll drive up next to me because he'll call me and I'm going for a run. This man will come and prepare food and bring it to my house, hand it to my grandmother and say, it's for when she comes back. Like, it was beautiful. But I knew that was not my divine counterpart. Well, hello, niece. I knew that was not my divine counterpart. So, we ended things. And he was so mad at me. And then years later, I saw that he had done gotten married, had 2 sons. I was so excited for him, so happy for him. Reached out, just to give that. And this man was still angry with me and told me that it was supposed to be me. So that was the last phone call I ever had with him. But the reason why I know a mother telling me what I miss, nothing. The question that was asked to me, well, how do you know that this lady, Miss Phyllis, is not really your mother-in-law? And it's like, because that's the normal reaction that I get with mothers and fathers. That is super, super normal. The only in-laws that has ever hated my soul was a person that I married in the past. And his dad didn't like women at all. His dad was gay. And I got along with Dad's boyfriend more so than anybody of the whole bunch. And then the dad got pissed off about that. And they ended up splitting. And then his mother was always trying to compare my family to hers. So there was no healthy dynamic there, which should have been a huge red flag. But that's the only parents that's ever hated my soul. That's it. Because the mom was like, "You act like you're better than us." Never did. Never did. And then the dad he didn't like women. And he had a daughter. And I remember his daughter crying to him like she wanted a relationship. And said that, "I'm not answering that here, girl. You gotta hit my line and ask me stuff like that." But yeah, that was the dynamic. And his dad began to try to have a relationship with his daughter, but he like legit only like men. And I remember thank you. I remember I was asleep on the couch and I overheard his dad trying to encourage him to go explore those options as well, the same way that he did. And so, that was the only setup to where the mom and the dad was just like, "No." Everybody else, though, I need you to meet my son. I need you to, But back to Miss Phyllis, I felt like, She told me his name. Mind you, I'm wide open before she mentioned that. Whole time, she's getting my information to try to pair me with her son. And it's like, I don't want to be the one to tell you. And she was like, well, respect your traditions. Like, we got all into magic, the healing. We got into all of that. And she was like, that's why you are the way that you are, because your family is Native American, like original. And I'm just like, I guess, yeah. Came through the bloodline. I know my grandmother used to have me out in the yard with her as she planted her greens. And there was always this me and the land and the water. So I ended up leaving Miss Phyllis. I gave her a hug. Like I said, I met her oldest. I met her daughter-in-law. I met two of her grandkids. And then I ended up leaving, and she has my phone number now. And I don't know, because I don't plan on, not that way. I was expressing to her, like, spirit has to tell me legit that this is the situation. I doubt that would happen. Highly doubt, because I already know who my divine counterpart is. My aunt so MF and fine, Lord. I love this lady. I love you too, baby. But yeah, I already know who my divine counterpart is. But back to the whole reason why I even got on here to begin with. I grew up in a society or an area, community within, immediate household where my happiness meant that I had to outgrow being that way for people who couldn't cultivate that energy for themselves, couldn't cultivate that space for themselves or finances for themselves or whatever. And so I was the mule, so to speak. I was the one that had to do, had to say, had to spend, had to give. And I remember losing everything because I walked away from the situations. I let it all go right. I have not one person to call on. The strong person never does. I had not one single person to call on. My grandmother had passed away completely. I had no one to call on. No one to hold my hand. No one to pick my head up. No one to do that. And that was one of the greatest things that could ever happen to me. And that's actually, I think, the second time. I've had to do that twice. Same situation twice. And it was horrible. But it was one of the best things that could ever happen to me, because in that moment, I saw that everyone that I was making those sacrifices for would not do the same for me. I saw that everyone that I was carrying didn't even look back to see if I was still breathing. Let's say that my body was lifeless on the floor. Those same people that I gave life to was kindly stepping over me, and moving on to the next person to suck dry, to the next person to siphon their energy, siphon their goodness, siphon their gifts. And that was one of the most beautiful things that could happen to me, because it was just like, dang, even if I'm dead, like, you didn't even check to see if there was a pulse. You didn't even check to see if there was a pulse, and you just sat there and just. And then when you saw me pick myself up, when you saw me breathe life back into myself, when you saw me, y'all ever seen Avatar, when they plug their tentacles, basically they plug their lifeline into the tree, and then they are empowered, they're connected. When I had to plug myself into God and plug myself into the universe and plug myself into my divinity to pick myself back up, then everybody turned around like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, she's still breathing. Wait a minute, there's still life. We can go and get some more. But then it was just like, nah, you gotta go. You have to go. You can't be here no more. They say when God show you who people are, believe them. And not to like beat a dead situation, but those same people that I'm like blood, sweat, tears pouring into, sacrificing me for, would not do the same for me. And maybe they aren't spiritually capable, but one of the most beautiful things that I learned in that moment is sometimes you are born into a family spiritually older than your parents. Sometimes you're born into a family. You might be the baby, because I'm the baby, the last child born. Sometimes you are born into a family spiritually older than your siblings, spiritually older than your parents, spiritually older than the people around you. And that's why your childhood is not you being a child. Your childhood is you parenting all of those spirits inside of those bodies. Of reciprocity is important. I know that's right. That's something I live by now. Now I live by that. But sometimes you are born and you're older than all of the people around you. And that was my childhood. It took me becoming an adult to know that. As a kid, I was like, well, dang, why can't I just be a kid? But then I always found myself in my happiest moments with my grandmother, with my grandfather, with my grandmother's brother, my grandmother's brother, my grandmother's sisters. That's where I was happiest. That's when I was at peace. And so like I find myself in those situations now, and I'm always exchanging information, and that's when I'm happiest, when I'm with elders. But as a kid, being around my parents, being around my older siblings who had some years on me, being around everybody else, it was everybody coming to me. And once I went to where I went and realized that all of these people that are coming to me, they're coming to me to learn from me, to learn how to heal themselves, learn how to transmute that energy. But I am not to be sacrificing myself in order to teach them that. And people have to be receptive to learning that. Because some people pretend like, I want your help. They come over crutching themselves to you. Can you help me stand up? The whole time they don't want you to teach them how to stand on their own. They want you to actually hold them up. And when you learn the difference in those who are actually coming to you to learn how to stand on their own, then you know who you can help. And it's safe to pour into this area. It's safe to pour into this man. It's safe to pour into this woman. It's safe to pour into this child. But then there's also those same people who come and they pretend like, can you help me stand up? And they just want you to hold them up. They want you to carry them on your back. They want you to pay their bills. They want you to cook their food. They want you to take care of their kids. They want you to do the things that they should have the smarts to do for themselves. They should have the drive to do for themselves. They should have the will to do for themselves. I had a conversation with this girl at work where she was like, she said, Simone, do you think if I won $1 million, she said, if I won $1 million, my mom would never have to work a day in her life. And I said to her, a real mother and a real father are not going to let you just take, like they're not going to let you just take what is for you and pour it into them. I'm not saying that you can't give to your parents, because you can. I'm not saying that you can't. And she asked me, she was like, what if, your child becomes an adult and they hit the lotto? I'm like, they going to keep it. If I get any money from them, it's them shoving it in places and me finding it, because I'm not taking anything from my children. I don't believe in taking anything from my children. And she was like, we got into that conversation as to why and as to how. And I'm like, no, bro. And I'm thinking about my grandmother, an adult that has lived their life. I watched my grandmother sit, not take from my mom, not take from my dad, but sit and try to help. Where can I be of service? She was a real matriarch. Where can I be of service? If you need me to watch the kids, I'm there. If you need me to cook, I'm there. My grandmother would. She was that woman. She was still in a spirit of service. So she was always giving. She was always working. And she was always serving, helping, teaching. And that is something I loved. And I said, so that's the example that I had. No mother or father is going to sit in, well, my child, my daughter is rich now, or my child is this, and well, you have to do this for me. And she was like, so you wouldn't do for your parents? I said, I would not sacrifice my own sanity for my parents. I will step up and do what I need to for my parents, what they need. But they got to be willing to do it for themselves. And I feel like in today's society, the whole dynamic of relationships in general is so backwards. It's so backwards. You got men killing themselves for women. You got men that are not even happy in relationships, because in their mind, they've been conditioned to bleed and to suffer, and bandages, body parts falling all off. And as long as my wife happy, and it's like, that's the most toxic environment to be in. And you got mothers and wives and women doing the same thing for men. they will not do the same thing for them. This woman out here done had 5 heart attacks, a stroke, and her husband is just like, she got to do what she got to do. Like, this our family. Like, no. And it's no balance. There's no balance. And then you have those kids that are givers and they're pouring and pouring to everybody around them. I'm guilty of that in the past. This version of me, we know better. We know who's actually here to learn versus who are not. And so we move accordingly. But in the past, pouring, giving, spending money for this, for that, for this person, for that person, and all of this. And it took me not having it. It's like God took it all from me years ago. Took everything from me so that I can see how these people move without it being there, without me sacrificing. Well, I can't give you what I ain't got. And then at the same time, when I didn't have it, these people was not coming back to me to try to give it to me. They was not coming back, and I didn't look for it, but they were not coming back. They were not coming, hey, do you need me to lift your head up? Do you need me to do this for you? Nobody. And I didn't get mad. I didn't resent. It was just like, oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, good thing I know, one of my things I always love to tell people is never be afraid to empty the cup. I will empty my cup at the drop of a hat and start over from scratch because I got the recipe. I am the recipe. I am the secret formula. I'm good. Regardless, I always tell people never be afraid to empty the cup. But I would see these same people that I poured and gave are all takers. And they never once would stop and be like, hey, do you even have it to give? I had this friend in the past where if I was feeling a type of way, if I was going through something, I would ask her if she had the capacity to hear me. If she had the energetic capacity to have that conversation with me. If she said no, then I siphoned through it myself. And she would do the same thing for me. When her grandmother passed away, I was the first person she thought to call. And it was like, do you have the capacity? And I had already gone through it. So I was like, yeah, I got you. Most definitely. I will carry you all the way through and through. I got you. And did. Those are the type of relationships that I open my door for now. That was my friend since 15. In our separate lives, we had learned all on our own not to just take from people and to give to people who genuinely are trying to hear, trying to heal, trying to learn, trying to do for themselves. And that was one of the best friendships I had ever had. And then I found myself like, if that's how my relationship is with her and it's healthy, then I need to shift and check the relationships of the people around me. And so we did that. We took inventory. That's another thing I love to tell people, take inventory. One, if the person that you are getting advice from is the person that you were feeding, clothing, taking care of, you can't get advice from them. Why? Because their concern is their own well-being. And, they're not going to advise you for your best interest because you are their security blanket. They're going to advise you to their own best interest because that's what takers do. And I see, like I said, these men dying in relationships, these women dying in relationships. And it's just like, yo, what happened? All these takers and found them a giver and just taking, legit just taking. I was one of them in the past, a giver. And I'm still a giver. I just only give to healthy situations. I only give to people who are for real about themselves, about the love for themselves. But no, you can't wait for somebody else to give you permission to be happy. You can't wait for somebody else. God done gave you a whole hand, a winning hand. We playing cards now. God done gave you a whole winning hand to take you straight to the bank. Straight to the bank. Straight to the motherfucking bank. And you are looking at those cards because you're so used to pouring and giving and pouring and giving and pouring and giving to all of these people around you. And you're like, dang, do I do what I'm supposed to do? Card game is not a basketball game. Do I take the winning shot? Or do I miss the winning shot? Hey, De Niro. Or do I miss the winning shot, right? because these people are not going to be happy if I take this winning shot for myself. Do I go to the bank with the money? Or do I go, nah, God didn't want me to have this. Let me give it to y'all. Here you go. And I'm saying people finna go take it and burn it up. Burn it up completely. They finna go take it and burn it up. Ain't got the means to do it for themselves. Why? Because why do they have to have the means to do it for themselves? You've been doing it for them for so long. I don't know why my dog is barking like that, but you've been doing it for them for so long. Why would they think to go and do it for themselves? They have you. And that was the dynamic I grew up in. So God gave me this winning hand, right? And I'm talking about I've sacrificed in the past, sacrificed it all for people that factually would not do it for me. And couldn't, he said, Ashe, what you talking about? People that could not do it for me, would not do it for me if they could. And then you know what? Something that I used to say, which I don't anymore, is I already know how to get it back. I already know how to do it. They can have it out. I don't care. I can get it all again. My cup my well don't run dry. So I don't care. But that was one of the most reckless attitudes that I can have. Oh, my dog is barking to agree with me. He sure is going on a tangent right now. But like, that was one of the most reckless attitudes you can have. When God puts you in prominent places and give you prominent things, and those resources are for you to work within your purpose and to grow your purpose and to share with those who are actively trying to work for themselves. A leader creates more leaders. A leader creates more leaders. The greatest teacher in the world is only the greatest teacher because they have not stopped learning. They have never stopped being a student, which makes them an amazing teacher and an amazing leader. Because not only do they see themselves in this world as a classroom and they're soaking up all that they could, but now they're teaching and they're giving and they're sharing. So leaders create leaders. If my help is me pissing on you so that you feel small, so that you feel worthless, so that you feel like you don't deserve, that's not help. And God help you if you're helping that person, if you're the giver pouring into that person, and they're pissing on you and telling you it's raining. Whole time telling you to wait for it, a rainbow gonna come. Or like they used to say, Jesus gonna bless you with a car. Like, what? Like, no, sweetie, no, sweetie, no. So like, the worst thing you could do is take advice from people that you were feeding, people that are benefiting from you playing small, people that are benefiting from you not being your fullest, not being your best, not being your greatest, not being who God called you to be. They want you to go just high enough so that you can trickle some of that down to them. But don't get too high and don't start smelling yourself, because then we're going to treat you like trash. You do that anyway. You got people out here treating their cats and their dogs better than they treat humans. And them same humans are the ones that's taking care of them, their cat, and their dog. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So, check the people that you're pouring into. And you don't need their permission for you to be happy. You don't need, if I have been, let's say I'm a multi-billionaire, right? We're going to put that out there. Let's say I'm a multi-billionaire, and because I'm a giver, I've been pouring into these same 5 people for 5 years. And at the end of that 5 years, I stop. If they cannot do something for themselves great with everything that I poured into them, I don't care who they are, where they come from, if they're older, if they're younger, if they're my parent, if they're my sibling, if they're my child. If I'm multi-billionaire and I've been pouring into you for 5 years straight, at the end of those 5 years, if they have not done something great, I have created a person who is entirely sickening, codependent, like horribly, but made them so comfortable that they are now handicapped. Handicap, can't do, won't do, because why? Samone is doing it for me. What do I have to move for? And that's not a leader. If I'm pouring, I'm a horrible leader, because I've learned whatever I'm giving to you, whatever I'm pouring into you, you better be doing something with it. And I'm going to be right there, making sure you know what to do with it, how to invest it, where to spend it, and make sure that you are not pissing it away. Because this is only a 5-year opportunity, right? 5 people. I'm giving to these 5 people. At the end of them 5 years, you should be sitting pretty like me and teaching someone else. Not on year 6, got an attitude because I'm still not pouring into you and I'm not giving to you. That was enough. Like, this is not a prison sentence. If I'm giving and I'm pouring and I'm giving and I'm pouring and I'm giving and I'm pouring, and then I stop and you die, you have wasted 5 years. You've wasted resources that I could have given to someone else. And I've wasted my time, because what the freak did you learn from that? So we have to monitor who we're giving to and actually make sure that they're growing that. My dog is going off. Making sure that they are growing that. Making sure that they are taking care of those that they love. Making sure that they're investing in those that they love. Not steady asking me, hey, Samone, it's my cup empty now. Can you refill it? No. And then now, because I choose to cut the cord to those 5 individuals, to take another step further for myself and take on new students who will be tomorrow's teachers, these people back here got an attitude. Because how dare you leave us behind? I fed you for 5 years straight. You ain't have to worry about nothing for 5 years straight. These other 4 people did something with it, so they don't have an attitude. And they want me to keep moving. They want me to keep sharing. They want me to keep giving to the right people. And you, the one person sitting here with a whole attitude, like, how dare you leave me? How dare you leave me, and how dare you not give to me anymore? Like, the 5 years was enough. The ungratefulness. But then you got the 4 other people that I've invested my time and invested my resources, have whole communities for themselves. So that's bad investment management, because you didn't see after year 2 that this person wasn't pissing away what you were doing for them. And must you feel guilty for moving forward and adopting 5 more people? Must you feel guilty for trying to cultivate a community outside of that one miserable person who doesn't want to see you happy because you're not giving to them anymore? Or because your happiness may mean that, hey, you actually got to cut them off. How dare you go be happy without me? And so I'm saying, you don't need nobody's permission to be happy, baby. If God gave you the winning hand, it's yours. Stop giving your power away. Stop giving that energy away. Stop sacrificing yourself for people who you've been helping for forever and a mother freaking day. If they have not done anything with it in all of this time, you're right. If they have not done anything with it in all of this time, cut your losses where they are and move forward. I remember one of my manifestations from a child that came true to the fullest degree was, because I saw my future. Before you give me that, God, show me who everybody is around me. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Because when I am that high and my life is that cool, that smooth, that balanced, I don't want to have to question anybody around me, anyone that I'm pouring into, all the people that I'm good to, that I'm loving and I'm pouring into. If they are legitimately not my friend, remove them. The blood was the worst part, because anybody knows me know I love my mother freaking family. All the men in my family, all the women in my family. I love my family. I love my family. I feel like I am so rich in love for my family, but I had to learn that was the same love that covered those that really truly weren't for me. The boat that I'm building. It's not a request to be in my life. Who's this? The boat that I'm building. These people are drilling holes in the boat. And so now they're back there fighting because I can't see the difference, because I'm just pouring. I can't see the difference from those who legitimately are drilling holes in the boat versus those who are trying to knock their head to the to the ceiling because, because they drilling holes in the boat and they trying to stop. Like, yo, she's helping all of us. So one of my greatest, strongest, most powerful manifestations that actually came true. God, show me who everybody is around me. Show me exactly who they are. However I feel about it is however I feel about it. I promise you I will do exactly what I'm supposed to do when it comes to those people, even if it's people that I don't even dream of having to cut off. I hold on to this quote I remember hearing years ago, and if you are comfortable rely on a crutch, you will never learn to walk straight. Oh, if you are comfortable relying on a crutch, you'll never learn to walk straight. I know that's right. But yeah, like those people were exposed. That's a great quote, by the way. Those people were exposed. And it broke my heart to know that, I had to, being straight up honest, cut off my mother and my father. And I still email my dad from time to time, but I know that there has to be a great distance between he and I. And I can't trust his judgment for me because daddy wants me home. Any means necessary. And, like I said, if I decide to date, which I did decide to date, but if I decide to date, if I decide to put my toe in the water, any good man that comes by, like my dad hates his soul. Hates, I mean in the most disrespectful way. Anybody loving, pouring into me, hates in the most disrespectful way. And then if it's somebody bad, that's where you should be. Why? Because I'm not going to stay there. So I can't trust my dad's judgment for me. And then my mom, that's a whole nother situation. I'm not even going to divulge. But I don't trust her for myself, for my offspring, for... You can watch my dog, to be honest. I won't say why, respectfully, but no. And so, going back to that manifestation, I had to learn to love a lot of people from a distance. People that I didn't expect to have to learn from a distance. Now, whatever took place with, in those relationships, I am actually grateful for. And when I say grateful for, I mean grateful for, because it made me focus on me. It made me focus on those who I know appreciate the ship, not even a boat, the ship that I've created for all of us. And they are all mentally, spiritually, emotionally prepared, completely prepared when we get to that land to build their own communities with everything that I've given them. And not come back to me as though, how dare you let me go? And no, they're excited to use whatever I've given them to build their own communities. And guess what? I'm excited for them. As a student, as a teacher, as a student and as a teacher, I'm excited to see what they do with it. And nobody owes me a daggone thing. And I don't owe nobody else a daggone thing. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing with everything that the universe has granted me. And so I've gotten into this space where I don't look for nobody's permission to be happy. If I decide to get in a relationship, it's because that's where I chose to be. If I decide to go buy a vehicle, it's because that's what I chose to do. If I decide to have a huge vegetation field in my backyard, it's because that's what I decided to do. And anybody who may get an attitude or feel some type of way, that is not my business. And I'm saying all of this to say, you don't need nobody's permission to be happy. God gonna give you everything, every card that you need for you to be your best, your highest, your greatest. God is gonna give that to you. And when you get it, be happy. Allow yourself to be loved. Because if I waited for anybody's permission for me to be happy, anybody's permission for me to feel loved, to be loved, I would never have it. Because that, for them, that means we wouldn't have access to her like we got it. So, you've had it for so long. You've had it for so many years, baby. You shouldn't need it. You should not still need it. Not to that degree. So you shouldn't, you know, you don't need anybody's permission to be great. God gonna give you everything that you need in the time that you need it. And when you do sit there, because I know, using this as an example because it's so known, when you start working in the industry, you're gonna cross paths with a devil that's gonna offer you everything your pretty little heart desires. And if you don't know why you started and you don't know who you are, you would sacrifice it all just for a coin. And so when you meet that devil, if you know why you started, you're going to walk away. If you know what your purpose is, you're going to walk away. And at the same time, just as the devil likes to gift you, so does God. Don't focus on the devil, so does God. When God grants you everything that you've been sitting here manifesting privately, your private thoughts, your private prayers, when God gives you that, you don't need anybody else's permission. That's permission enough. If I was manifesting my greatest whatever, the second God gives it to me, that's all the permission I need. I don't need your permission for me to accept this gift. I don't need your permission to be happy. I don't need your consent. I don't even need you to be happy for me. And that's the other thing. People need to learn. You can't wait for others to be happy for you, because a lot of times that's not going to come. Especially when you outgrow them places, when you outgrow those environments, when you outgrow those situations, when you outgrow those people, they are not going to be happy for you. Why? Because they lose access to you. You decided to keep ascending. You decided to keep evolving. You decided to keep doing the work. You decided to shed those old layers that no longer serve a purpose in your life. So you ascended. And as you ascend, your life becomes more and more and more and more balanced, more at peace. And as it becomes that heaven on earth for you, now you feeling guilty. And now you feeling away. You feeling like, well, they're not going to be happy for me. Then they're not your people. They're not your people. And that was one of the hardest pills I had to swallow. As my manifestation came true, God showed me who everybody is around me. One of the hardest pills to swallow. They are not your people. They have served their time in your life. They have served their purpose in your life. Take what you can. Learn all that you can from that situation. And know that it's okay to go. It's okay to empty the cup. It's okay to step forward in your grace. It's okay to step forward in your purpose. As you are shedding people, places, environments, situations that no longer serve a healthy purpose in your life, God is placing new evolved beings, people around you. And I love to say that you cannot receive what God has for you if you keep holding on to all that is no longer yours. Let it go. Back to my quote, never be afraid to empty the cup. If you are holding on, just like a hoarder, you got all this stuff in your house, and your house is your mind. Your house is your body. Your house is your heart. Your house is all your energetic centers. If you're holding on to everything that no longer serves a purpose in your world, just because, well, I knew this person for so long, and, well, I've had this car for so long, or I've had this house, I lived in this community for so long. You're holding on to all of that. Your hands are already full. That is the baggage. And God can't give you what's for you because you won't let go of what is no longer for you. And it hurts. Be the first person to tell you it hurts. Because sometimes some of them people, you like, yo, what? I remember at one point I cried. Like, I'm tired of saying goodbye to people. I'm so sick of it. I am the goodbye queen. I'm so sick of it. I'm at this point in my life, I'm like, God, I'm ready to meet the forever people. Show me the forever people. Because, you know, elders, they ascend. They have to go eventually. Give me the new ones. Where they at? Come on. My ancestral pool is heavy. It's deep. And I appreciate that. I love that. I have that. But we're the people here on earth. And I meet women, amazing, amazing, amazing women that are just like, I want to learn from you. And so I pour privately. I meet men that want to learn, that want to be. Is one that told me straight up and down, told me, I want to be of service to you any way that I can. Any way that I can. And he said, anything that you need from me, I can do. What I can't do, if you teach. This man was just, I'm ready to learn. And I pour, I give. And I mean this on a platonic level. I don't mean no, you know, y'all weird situationships. I don't mean none of that. They're still here. I hear you, Rob. But like, when I meet those kind of people, I meet them because I've let go of what no longer served the purpose. And even if it was someone that I was teaching, because a lot of times I'm in situations where I'm not getting a daggone thing from people at all, but I'm teaching, I'm giving away my gifts because I'm supposed to. So when it is time to cut the cord, it's time to cut the cord. It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. And those people, some people get attitude. Because how dare you not keep pouring into me? Because baby, I fed you for 5 years straight. You ain't have to want for nothing. What are you going to do with all that I gave you? I'm not going to sit around here for you to tell me you pissed it away. I'm going to go and pour into someone else. And pour into someone else. And I meet amazing people every day. Men and women. That are just like, I want to learn. I want to learn. And if I had $1 for every time somebody told me that they were at peace and they were just I meet so many people to help. And that's because I'm not focused on anybody that got an attitude that I'm not helping anymore. It's not my place to sit here and nurture and spoon feed you for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And if I came from you, if I legitimately came from you, then you should be right there. Proud that I'm able to help. Proud that I'm able to pour. Proud that I'm able to give and not feeling self-righteous. Oh, well, you're supposed to be doing that to me. No, I'm not. God gave you your life. Did you live it? Did you do everything that you felt you were supposed to do for you? Because at the end of the day, if my siblings can't do it, then you're going to wish to God I had did everything that I needed to get my life where it needs to be so that I can step in and help you when you need me to. But if I never leave home, if I never step outside of that comfort zone of home, how great can I be? How great can I be if I never left? Because I want to take you with me. Everybody can't go. But you best believe when it's time to step up and do my job, when it's necessary, I got everything that I need. Why? Because I left. I left to get it. I left to do it. I left to cultivate. And I teach mine. Baby, when you are an adult, it is not your job to take care of me. It is not your job. You are serving your purpose. It's my job to make sure you're serving your purpose. It's my job to make sure you're doing what God called you to do. If you don't know what that is, it's my job to help you figure that out. But to sit and take from you, nah, that's going back to the conversation with me and the girl Lex at my job. She was like, I'm going to take care of my mama. And you can do that. But as a mother, girl, we finna fight tooth and nail because, baby, nah, do what you're supposed to be doing with that. If I was a father, son, do what you're supposed to be doing with that. I ain't raising no little... It's like, if I yell right now, act like I'm hurt, my son, I'm going to use his nickname. Save this so I can rewatch it. I will. If I was to yell right now, my son, who I call Hero, will legit, this thing said I got 20, it's counting down, so I'm going to have to end this and probably start it over. But if I was to yell right now, my son would run in this room like, what happened? I call him Hero. because he's ready to serve. He's ready to just, let me end this real quick because it's about to cut off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.